Welcome back. So remember when we all thought Saquon Barkley was going to sit out up until week 1 or possibly miss games? Those were good times. Very shocking news this morning as Saquon Barkley has signed a 1-year deal with the Giants. Not the franchise tag, though. He takes a 1-year contract worth up to $11 million, a $2 million signing bonus, always good for the player. And this gives him more of a chance to make more money next year. And what I mean by that is Spotrac tweeted before, if Saquon maxes out his restructured deal in 2023, he'll earn $11 million. That increases his franchise tag value for 2024 up to $13.2 million or $24.2 million payout over 2 years. So that's pretty ideal for Saquon. Now for the Giants, it's a home run. That's awesome. You get Saquon back on a 1-year deal. $2 million signing bonus, whatever, not a big deal for the Giants, but you get your top offensive weapon back. Seems like he's happy. He's going to report to camp, so that's all good and well. And it's really shocking. It's a thing you don't see too often. Ian Rappaport said it's very rare you see a team do this. Now, up until today, I had no idea this rule existed, where if a guy is not extended past that franchise tag date, I think that was July 17th last week, I was not aware that you can sign another type of contract. Now, there is some type of stipulation. You're not allowed to sign with that team for a multi-year deal, but the Giants and Saquon were able to negotiate a 1-year deal. So that's the difference here. They were able to work out a different 1-year deal. Saquon gets himself some more money potentially on this deal as compared to just the franchise tag. So kind of works out for both sides, of course, but definitely way more for the Giants. Definitely a home run for Joe Schoen once again, who's done a great job throughout these negotiations. There was a funny Saquon tweet today. So there was some rumors coming out. Pro Football Talk tweeted some article. And I guess in that article was a little blurb saying that Saquon asked for a trade request at some point back in March or April. And then Saquon responded with the 3 cap emojis, meaning that was probably a lie. So believe what you want, but straight from the horse's mouth, Saquon said there was no trade request. And if he did request a trade, I don't blame him, right? You want your money. It's a business. I completely get that. But once again, it's great for the Giants. I love what they did here. You don't want to, as I said last video, extend a running back on a second contract, 26 years old. That's a dangerous game right there. I think the guy played very well last year. He did slow down a bit in the end. He still had some nice games. He played well against Minnesota both games. I think he played pretty well towards the end of the season, but not what he was in the first half. Up until the Texans game in Week 12, the guy was arguably the best running back of the entire 2022 season. But of course, dropped off a bit, tired legs or something, whatever it was, I don't know. But once again, there's no commitment. It's great. It's a 1-year deal. So I do love this, and I really hope Saquon is happy with this. I'm sure in his heart he wanted a multi-year deal, but this might have been like a last resort thing to kind of make both sides happy. Maybe Joe Schoen's kind of surprised he accepted this. Maybe Joe Schoen just put that offer out there and said, whatever, he's probably not going to accept it anyway. And then he did accept it. So if that's how it worked out, that'd be funny. But I think for the Giants, kind of just best case scenario here. And Connor Hughes of SNY tweeted out some extra details. He said he looked at the Saquon contract and there's no extra money unless the Giants make the playoffs, which, I'm expecting them to make the playoffs, but it's not a guarantee. We're not the Kansas City Chiefs. We're not the Buffalo Bills. It should happen, but it's not a guarantee. The Giants can still franchise tag him next year, of course. Now, as Spotrac said before, he does get more on the franchise tag next year, so that's good, but it's not that much more. And he'll get the $2 million up front once he signs the contract. So, I don't know where Saquon Barkley wins here. It's maybe a little better than his previous situation with just a franchise tag. But I don't think this is really moving any mountains, if that makes sense. I don't think this is really what he wanted, but given the circumstances, being on the franchise tag and not coming to an extension, this was probably the best case scenario at this point for Saquon. And as I said in my last video, I did not think he would actually sit out games. But the fact that it's resolved 8 days later is pretty insane. I'm happy about that. I did not want this to drag on throughout August and even early September. To have this resolved now is a big sigh of relief. But it's just so shocking how it happened. And I think when people saw this news, it was what? He signed a what? It's it didn't make sense. So anyway, yes. great job by Joe Shane and the Giants to get this done. Hopefully we get a healthy Saquon next year, along with a healthy Darren Waller, a more pass-happy offense with Daniel Jones, and we'll definitely dive into more of the offense stuff, and probably once August comes around, which is right around the corner. But we'll dive more into like a season preview type thing, offense and defense, record predictions, and all that stuff. But as I said, I kind of spoiled it. I do expect them to make the playoffs, right? I think the Giants are more of like an 8 or 9 win team. Which, I know they won 9 games last year, but I think they'll be a better team on the field, but will that result in more wins? That's the big thing, because I do think they're better than they were last year. They have more talent now, but the schedule was harder. Last year, they won just about every close game they were in, except for the Christmas game against the Vikings or Christmas Eve. They won about every close game. So, if the ball bounces a different way, you never know. But I do think the Giants will be a better football team this year as compared to last year. But does that result in more wins? That's the real question here. But we'll find out. Anyway, more to come on Giants content. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Leave in the comments, how do you feel about this? I mean, I think just about everybody should be happy. And I'll talk to you guys next time.